Well, it's fun to talk about Jim because he's the best-known television personality whose face was never shown on television. And it's an interesting story, but let me just tell you, for anyone here who worked at Channel 8, I guarantee we all went through the same story. Out in the field, people would approach us, not to find out what we were working on or who we were. They wanted to know, one, what was Ted Leitner really like, and two, who's the unknown eater? Now, as I spent 12 years at Channel 8. During that time, I can't say I ever did figure out Leitner, but I did find out who the unknown eater was, and that being, of course, Jim Blankenship. He was a news photographer who hid behind the camera to create one of San Diego's most popular segments. Jim is a local, Hoover High, San Diego State, the son of a shoe salesman who never let grass grow under his feet. He was hired by Ray Wilson, one of the giants of San Diego television. It was filmed back then, of course, Bell and Howells and Oricons. And Ray said he didn't hire photographers, he hired journalists. Jim had to take a writing test to get the photographer's job at Channel 8. He worked with some of San Diego's best journalists, from Harold Keene to Bill Agatuda. He earned 10 Emmys and 3 Golden Mikes. During his 29 years, nearly 30 of shooting, he trained a slew of photographers who are still working in San Diego, from Tom Warren and Mark Linebaugh to Colleen Murphy and Hank Schroeder. He was a photographer who paid attention to the story and made a reporter look and sound better. He sure did it for me. He's one of the fastest editors I ever saw. And while his shooting was first class, that's not, to me, what makes him long overdue for this Silver Circle recognition. Jim Holtzman had a thing about food. He was a news director. He was both at Channel 8 and Channel 10. He helped establish Jack White on his restaurant reviewing journey at Channel 10. And when he got to Channel 8, Holtzman came up with the idea of having a food critic that nobody knew, the unknown eater. Believe it or not, there were 6 unknown eaters. Jim Blankenship was certainly one of them, but all the others were before him. But none of those lasted longer than a year. There were writers, producers, even Jim Holtzman himself was the unknown eater at Channel 8. But the unknown eater, to me, really came into its own when Jim Blankenship auditioned for the job. He took on the city like a bear searching for food in an urban campground. For nearly 15 years, often 2 times a week, the unknown eater got the city salivating. You know how rarely people stop to watch your story? You work your butt off. You sit there and get an angle no one else got. You wrote these wonderful lines, and you're standing in the newsroom and no one's watching. Wait, this is a personal thing for me. Well, it never happened with Jim. When you came into the Channel 8 newsroom and the eater came on, everyone, and I mean everyone, would stop and watch it. Jim was the Food Network before there was a Food Network. He turned the camera from the plate to the people. Jim found personality wearing an apron. And if the chef wasn't all that good on camera, well, he found people at the tables to make up for it. Jim's work coincided, I believe, with a culinary awakening in San Diego. He recognized some of San Diego's truly gifted chefs. He traveled to parts of San Diego that were often ignored unless there was a crime going on. He gave us the best recipes. He showed us chefs walking into viewers' homes and making some delightful dish just from what he found in their pantry. He offered the best of everything from burgers to cheap eats. Restaurants would be flooded after a positive review. He wasn't afraid to ruffle feathers either. He fought management over reviews, refusing to back down, nearly losing his job over it. Once he did a review eating the food on top of a sidewalk newspaper stand when the restaurant wouldn't let him in. And he actually gave the place a pretty good review. For my last few years at Channel 8, Jim was my photographer from the consumer stories I did. He balanced a regular chaotic shooting schedule with me to turn around and do his eater reviews. He had a car stuffed with letters, emails, and menus. I don't know how he got in the car sometime. I used to love it. We were out in the field sometime in some far-reaching area of the county, and he'd said, "Do you think we have time to eat?" I nearly missed deadlines over that question. Well, yeah. Jim was the ultimate one-man band, not because of any sort of budget cuts, but because no one but Jim could shoot, interview, laugh, and report quite like he did. You never saw his face, but you saw the joy he had in people and, yes, food. A man of integrity, of hard work, a man who'd never met a spice he didn't like. I'm honored to present Jim Blankenship for the Silver Circle Award.